Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks to all of our witnesses for being here today to testify on government oversight. So while I won't be focusing on ICE and all of those issues, those are significant issues, I do focus on a lot of issues that come down to fraud within the federal government. So again, want to thank you all for being here. Really appreciate your time. So I'll set the stage. We have a lot of families like mine that live in Iowa, Minnesota. I come from a blue-collar working family, a farm family. My parents farmed, they worked very hard. Their parents ahead of them worked very hard to get where we are today. I'm very privileged to sit in this seat today. My sister works for a trucking company. She and her husband farm. My brother is a blue-collar labor union worker for the railroad. Every one of their tax dollars needs to be protected because they work darn hard in all types of weather. They work outside. They don't have the privilege of sitting in a cushy office working 9 to 5. But what we have found in the federal government through years and years of the work that I have done on oversight is that 1 out of every $10 that Americans send to the federal government is squandered away and lost in fraud. 1 out of every $10. So there's no time to waste in giving Americans peace of mind about how we use their hard-earned dollars. We have seen examples like the Quality Layering Center in Minnesota recently, but this is happening in every single state. It's not just Minnesota, it is every single state. And accordingly, Mr. Chairman, I would like to submit my Squeal Award to Minnesota Governor Walz for the state's massive fraud ring for the record. I'm putting together thank you. I'm putting together a package of pragmatic, bipartisan proposals because I have friends on the other side of the aisle that see this as a massive scam against the American public. They see this and they want to deal with it. They want to prevent waste from ever occurring again. For too long, Congress has pretended to search for who is actually responsible for the amount of fraud and waste in programs after those funds have already gone out to the states and localities. It's almost like a problem Scooby-Doo and the Mystery Gang might face. So right here, folks, well, the mystery is solved. Congress is responsible. By allowing weak incentives for states and localities to police spending after those grant funds are dispersed, fraud is able to increase more easily, and it's harder to recoup improperly used taxpayer dollars. So, Representative Niska, too often the federal government writes a check and then looks the other way. How should Congress redesign incentives to ensure states have real skin in the game and safeguards taxpayer dollars once those funds have left Washington, D.C.?
Well, thank you, Senator. And you're absolutely right that people respond to incentives, and especially immoral people respond to incentives. And unfortunately, we've had both in federal programs, but especially the way the Walz administration and Attorney General Ellison have overseen those programs in Minnesota, we have seen an enormous loss of our important taxpayer dollars. We should be tightening up eligibility requirements, making sure that states and local governments are actually going out and checking on whether meals are being served. The Feeding Our Future fraud scandal that we heard about was a situation where there were sites that were supposedly feeding kids where nobody could have fed them. And if Minnesota officials, including Attorney General Ellison's office, which was involved in litigation at that time, had just gone out and checked, they would have been able to find those problems. The problem is that Attorney General Ellison has fought to cover up the records from closed investigative files. He's fought in the courts and the legislature to amend our sunshine law so that he doesn't have to disclose what happened in those investigations, and that needs to change as well. But absolutely, the federal government needs to be overseeing our taxpayer dollars and making sure that states who are administering those programs are doing it better than Minnesota has done. It's been a complete failure.
Yes, thank you. And Attorney General Ellison, under your watch, unfortunately, Minnesota has achieved the largest COVID fraud scheme in American history. Under your watch, those whistleblowers who brought attention to the fraud and waste in your state faced retaliation. Under your watch, billions of tax dollars intended for unemployment insurance, supporting hungry children, just as described, children with autism, providing housing for the most vulnerable, keeping small businesses afloat through COVID, and more were instead, all of those dollars were funneled away into fraudulent schemes. So last month in an interview with CNN, you were asked if your office has done enough to stop the fraud. And you responded, of course we've done enough. And this is a quote, of course we've done enough. And we're doing more every single day. This is a political matter. This is not a serious thing. Those are your words.
They are.
How do I go back to my hardworking brother and my hardworking sister and every other American who's going out there and then sending their taxpayer dollars to Washington, D.C., only to have it squandered away in fraud? How do we respond to them? And how do we recoup those dollars from these programs that Minnesota should have been overseeing?
Senator Ernst, thank you. I really do believe that you're sincerely, earnestly trying to look out for taxpayer dollars. And I'm here to tell you that, of course, we're here to hold people accountable who commit fraud. I've prosecuted and convicted over 300 people since I've been the AG for Medicaid fraud. So I'm with you when you're trying to protect the public dollar. What I was saying in that interview is that rather than coming together on a bipartisan basis to stop fraud, the matter has been turned into a political football, which I bet you probably would agree it shouldn't be. We should come together to protect the public dollar, and it shouldn't be somebody's campaign ad. What we should do is do it together. So what are we doing? First of all, you should know that I can only prosecute crimes that the county attorney gives me or that the governor assigns me. I do not have authority to just prosecute anybody I want.
Yes, and I am over time.
Okay.
Thank you for that. But
Let's talk.
we need,
I'm here to help. I'm here to work with you.
What we need is your governor then to step up to the plate, and any crime that needs to be prosecuted, it needs to be done. The American taxpayer is tired of their dollars being funneled out of their pockets into scammers' pockets.
I think you're right.
Senator Moody.
Thank you.